So in between downsizing the venue, online criticism running rampant, which I was a part of. I cannot deny it. I put a video out on my channel saying, has AEW given up on Grand Slam Australia? And in between all that, ring mishaps, whatever's gone on there, people angry about ticket prices, I think it's safe to say that AEW, when the back's against the wall, they do pull something out of the bag. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about AEW Grand Slam Australia. That's correct, we are talking about the big, used to be a stadium show, now taking place in Brisbane, featuring Toni Storm versus Mariah May for that Women's World Championship. Ospreay and Omega versus Takeshita and Fletcher. This had a lot of hype going into it. While the build hasn't necessarily been great, you would be mistaken for thinking that Revolution was the next show and not Grand Slam Australia, and this now being a Collision episode, I think that this show really delivered. I thought it was genuinely a really entertaining 2 hours of pro wrestling. Do I think it was the best? No. But that Australia crowd, my God, they delivered, because it made AEW feel like the hottest company in the world. Every match, pretty much, the crowd were entirely into. Unique chants, unique vibes. The crowd, I don't want to say made this show, but they enhanced it a lot. So props to you, Australia, for delivering in that regard. We're going to dive into a full review, but before we do, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try to apply to every single one of them as we dive into this, starting with the fact that this did feel like a pay-per-view to me. It may have been a Collision episode, but I think the minimal backstage segments, promo segments in the show made it feel like an AEW pay-per-view. You got match, with a few angles in there as well. So I don't think this necessarily felt like a huge downgrade from a pay-per-view. It's just like, it was, if you added another 2 hours onto this, it would be a pay-per-view. Like, I don't think this, it didn't feel like a typical wrestling AEW weekly programming, because there were so many big matches and like cool stuff happening in the ring. So in that regard, I think it delivered in that way. But my God, they opened with a banger, and that was Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega taking on Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher in what was the match of the night. Easily, this match was insane. It was amazing. Kyle Fletcher, being over as a heel in Australia, he was getting booed out the building. It was so good, and I think that just shows how over Kenny and Ospreay are, that they get these organic babyface reactions. And the way this match worked was a mix of hot tags, high spots, and then basically turning into a tornado tag at the end, where I'm going to be honest, I lost track of who was actually the legal man, because everyone was just in the ring doing cool thing after cool thing, and it was amazing. It was absolutely mind-blowing, particularly Will Ospreay, man. Just the way he delivered in this match was insanity. He was hitting just insane move after insane move after insane move, particularly working well with Kyle Fletcher. Those two are like, that is a Wembley main event, if ever I did see one, is Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay, because their chemistry is unmatched. The DDT sequence where Ospreay was just hitting DDT after DDT on Kyle Fletcher from increasingly more difficult positions to hit a DDT from was amazing. That was one of my highlights of the match. And then you had Kenny and Takeshita squaring off against each other with who can hit bigger knees to each other, and that was also awesome. And then you got those snapshots of Kenny interacting with Fletcher and Ospreay interacting with Takeshita again. And I think they purposefully kept Kenny and Fletcher apart in this. I don't know if that's because they're potentially teasing a match down the line with Fletcher and Omega, so they don't want to give everything away right here. I think that'd be a really awesome feud, and potentially a win over Omega with Fletcher could do loads of good things for him. But I like the way that those two weren't positioned together. It was mainly Omega and Takeshita working together. But when the double team stuff happened, that's when everything went into full gear, and you could see Ospreay and Omega as the tag team doing things in unison, and to an extent, part in the match, Ospreay was sort of directing traffic for Omega. He was pointing it to Takeshita, right, hit a V-trigger now, and they worked really well together. It was so cool, and it led to great finishing sequence where everyone was hitting each other. They both got hit with Ospreay got hit with a pile driver, and Omega took, I don't know what it's called, the sort of package pile driver thing that Takeshita does. He usually throws him into German suplex, but he hit that as well. And then you got the coolest spot of the entire match, and it's the finish. Of course, it's going to be the coolest spot, and that is where I'm trying to describe it. Kyle Fletcher's on the outside by the ring post. Takeshita is on the turnbuckle, and Ospreay just sprints. You don't even see him in shot. He's not in the camera shot. You just see him fly over the top rope, hit Kyle Fletcher with a dive, and then Kenny Omega gets Takeshita up for the one-winged angel. Ospreay's behind him on the turnbuckle. Hidden blade, one-winged angel, 1, 2, 3. Probably the most OP tag team finisher of all time, because you're pairing it with the most OP finisher of all time, which is the one-winged angel. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then I'll talk about the promo that happened after. This match was insane. Then later on the show, we got Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega cutting a promo. Kenny Omega lays out the challenge for Takeshita for Revolution for the International Championship. That's going to be insane. And Will Ospreay lays out the challenge to Kyle Fletcher. It's going to be those two in a steel cage match. Yes, please. That is going to be absolutely insane. And I can't wait to see it. Overall, this opening, it was probably 30 minutes. Opening 30 minutes of the show were incredible. The next match we got was Mercedes Mone defending her AEW TBS Championship against Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron, who has been on a meteoric rise as of late, taking AEW by storm with her ventriloquism, with Puppet Mone, with her singing, with her wrestling. She is amazing, and she's going to be a top star in the future. And she had a really good match here with Mercedes Mone because she's just so organically over. Everyone loves her and the energy that she brings. When she had Mercedes Mone draped over the ropes and was kicking her in the back of the head, being like, this is my ring now, I was like, okay, I get the fire. And then she gets the puppet out and goes to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, and she's just laying in these strikes with the puppet as well under her arm. It looks like she's going to hit her with the puppet. It doesn't. Then you got the brilliant shot later on where she rises from the ring and she's got the puppet on her hand. It was so cool. Just keep the puppet, sell the puppet. The puppet is amazing, and Harley Cameron is really getting it over as well. And they had, it was a really good match. It led to a Swanton Bomb miss from Harley Cameron, a really cool looking Swanton Bomb. And then as she's sitting up from the Swanton Bomb, Mercedes underhooks her and rolls her through for the Mone Maker. Still not sold on that finisher. It looks very convoluted and doesn't look like it has a lot of impact. I really wish she'd just either go back to the bank statement or just something different, because it's not a very good looking finisher, and I'm not a fan of her winning with it because it looks so weak. But she made Harley Cameron look amazing in this. She really did. And Harley Cameron coming out of this, I don't think she lost anything, considering she's she was on a losing streak, I think, or she hadn't won many singles matches in AEW. Considering where she is now following this match, absolute win. Then we got my low light of the evening. Now, I'm not going to say that this was bad. I'm not going to say that this was garbage. This just was. And that was the Brisbane Brawl with Adam Copeland, because I'm not going to call him Cope. I can't call him Cope. And Jay White taking on the Death Riders of John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. It was fine. It was a fine plunder-filled brawl. I loved everyone in Australia singing Metalingus at the beginning. That is the shit that we love. And for Adam Copeland, it really worked. And then this was just a standard brawl. I don't think it's the best no DQ match that AEW's ever seen. I don't think it's the worst. It was just standard. None of the spots necessarily stood out for me. Adam Copeland diving from the railing in the stands, that was cool. I liked that. I liked some of the table bumps. I liked the spear from Adam Copeland as well to Claudio through the table. That was cool. But then it just derived into Death Rider nonsense again, where Wheeler Yuta comes out to break up a pin. There was an awesome spot halfway through where he's got a belt and he's whipping Jay White, and Jay White is just no selling it. And I thought that made Jay White look amazing. But it ultimately just ended with a really way, with Claudio hitting the neutralizer for a near fall on Adam Copeland. Marina Shafir coming in, hitting Adam Copeland with the briefcase as well. And then Mox just locking in a really long bulldog choke, and the referee stopping the match because Adam Copeland's passed out. Yeah, pretty mid no DQ match. I've seen way better ones. I'm so ready for the Death Rider thing to be over though. I feel like it's such a chokehold on the AEW men's division that I can't wait. I cannot physically wait until All In for this to be over. Just pull the trigger at Revolution, have Adam Copeland win, Christian cash in, and then go from there. Just hit reset on it because it is not working. And I think the chants of bullshit as well from the crowd kind of tell you everything you need to know about the angle and what follows. It's not over. The Death Riders are not over. Everyone is just so apathetic towards the Death Riders, and it's not. I think the big issue for the Death Riders for me is they're not cool. They don't come across as cool. If they were cool like the NWO, or I can't even think of many others that were cool, give off that kind of aura. Like this Invading Force just doesn't feel cool. They don't feel cool. They feel like guys. So yeah, Death Rider ran over, not hitting. Moving on. Next, we got a match for the Continental Championship as Kazuchika Okada defended against Buddy Matthews. This was pretty good. This wasn't the best Okada match that I've ever seen, but Buddy Matthews, I love seeing him in a single spot. He's one of my favourites ever since the 205 Live days. And yeah, he just works. He's amazing. Everything he does is amazing. His Meteoras, his Matthews Law, awesome. Stomp, awesome. And he got some really cool near falls in here against Okada. I think Okada didn't seem necessarily checked into this as much as he seemed checked into other matches. It didn't hit that Okada level where he switches another gear towards the end of the match and it just goes to insane move after insane move. It didn't necessarily hit that gear for me. But I like seeing Buddy Matthews elevated to this spot and elevated in a ring with an Okada. Ultimately, Okada won because of course he did. He hit a low blow on Matthews, cheated. Of course he did, and got the 1-2-3. Fine. It was perfectly fine. This wasn't like the blowaway match that I thought it'd be. I was hoping for more from this, but it was a completely fine TV match, and I want to see more for Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews, the Hounds of Hell. Yeah, Hounds of Hell versus Hurt Business. That's the way I want to see this go. And then we had the main event. The main event was Timeless Toni Storm taking on Mariah May for the AEW Women's World Championship. This was a really good match as well. I think I preferred their Wembley match. I'm not 100%. I think they were both really, really good. But I think I preferred their Wembley match. I'd have to go back and rewatch it. But that's not taking away anything from this because this was really, really awesome. I liked how they were stealing each other's moves. They were getting near fall after near fall after near fall. And it really played into a lot of the character stuff. It was really, really good. Like the opening stare down between the two, you could feel the drama. With this being their second match as well, it leaves room for a third, which we'll go into in a little minute. But there was some cool stuff in this. Like Mariah May hitting her Mayday from the apron to the floor. That was really cool. I really liked that. You had her hitting a Storm Zero, Toni Storm hitting a Storm Zero for a very good near fall. 2 Maydays, still couldn't put away Toni Storm, and ultimately it was a roll-up. It was a roll-up from Toni Storm, rolled up Mariah May for the 1-2-3. Toni Storm wins, right decision. I think that's the correct way to go, but I don't think this is the definitive finish that a lot of people were looking for this feud, which is why I think it will continue. I think this was the second match of the trilogy. I wouldn't be surprised if at Revolution we get a big stip match, because there was so much blood in the angle, the turn from Mariah May, that I don't think that's been fully paid off on. I think we're going to get a big stipulation match, whether that be a lights out match. Did they do a female? I think they did a female lights out match. Was the Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker a lights out match, or was that just no DQ match? I'll have to look that up and it'll be above my face. But a lights out match would be really good. I think they're doing a steel cage. What else can you do? Texas death match. Some sort of big step, big plunder-filled step to really blow off this feud, I think is the right way to go. And I think that's what will happen following Grand Slam Australia. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens at Revolution, or if maybe they could postpone it all the way to Double or Nothing or Dynasty. I think Dynasty's first. Maybe they could do it at Dynasty. That sounds cool. Yeah, do it at Dynasty. Mariah May versus Toni Storm in a big stipulation match. And that capped off the show. Overall, I think this was a really good show. It was a really good episode of AEW. It had pay-per-view worthy matches on it, like the opening match and like the Mariah May Toni Storm match as well. Yeah, I couldn't understand how you could look at this and say it was bad. It was not bad in the slightest. It was a really cool and entertaining show. And yeah, overall I'd probably give it like 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, it was really, really good. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts and I'll try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support and have a nice day.